Introduction to Philosophy, Branches of Philosophy. Introduction. Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy, presented by Practical English. Philosophy is considered to be a difficult academic subject. It represents literally thousands of years of civilization's most critical and inventive thinkers discussing the mysteries and complexities of life. To approach the study of philosophy, the reader must have a knowledge of its history, its key authors and ideas, and an understanding of its unique vocabulary. In this short course, we aim to provide you with some crucial terminology, references to key thinkers and their writings, in addition to a brief historical timeline. The term philosophy fundamentally means the love of wisdom. Practically speaking, it is the study of the many different aspects of human life and thought. It asks questions such as, who or what is God? What is truth? What is mind? What is language? What is morality? What is beauty? What is power, and so much more. Studying philosophy, ultimately, is like mental strength training. Biased thinking is lazy thinking, and philosophical discussion urges us to question our innate biases and presuppositions. Biases are beliefs we come to adopt during childhood and onwards by those who influence us, such as family members and culture at large. They are disadvantageous, in that they curtail our creativity, limit our ability to exercise our free will, and restrict authentic self-expression. Thinking critically about our own ideas, and the ideas of others, can help us come to sound conclusions of our own, supported by reasoning and evidence. Reading philosophy also informs us of our history, teaching us innumerable lessons in wisdom from great figures. We are able to defend, or inoculate, ourselves against the toxic beliefs and attitudes prevalent in the world. Our philosophical empowerment puts us in a position to be an effective force for good. Finally, when we can have a clear understanding of our own thoughts and feelings, we can also better relate to, and feel respect and appreciation for, the divergent viewpoints of others. Branches of philosophy. In this lesson we will discuss 6 of the core areas, or branches of philosophical study: metaphysics, epistemology, logic, ethics, aesthetics, political philosophy. Metaphysics. Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that focuses on existence and being, and the nature of our reality. Plato, sometimes called the father of philosophy, was deeply interested in metaphysical topics. In his theory of the forms, discussed in the Republic, he proposed that our material world coexisted with an immaterial realm of ideas. The term metaphysics was later coined by Aristotle, who studied under Plato. The Greek term physica denotes things that pertain to the natural world. Metaphysics translates as the things that exist beyond the natural world. Metaphysics asks, what is the nature of being or existence? What is the relationship between our minds and our bodies in the world in which we live? What is the relationship between cause and effect? What would it be like to have the mind of an omniscient God unconstrained by the limitations of time, space, and personal identity? What is freedom? Epistemology. Epistemology examines the nature of knowledge and belief. As individuals, we form our basis of knowledge from various sources, such as what we learn from others and what we learn through direct experience. For the things that we can't know, for example what exists in the cosmos, or what existed hundreds of years before our lifetime, we can only theorize. When it comes to beliefs, there can be beliefs that are justifiable because they are sensible, or stand up to logical scrutiny. Alternatively, there are beliefs that have no basis in reality, and these can be said to be false beliefs or delusions. The theory of gravity, for example, is one that we all believe in. Although we don't have a complete knowledge and understanding of what gravity is in its entirety, we can make reliable claims and predictions with the theory of gravity. The theory of gravity is well supported based on verifiable evidence we have collected about how objects move in our world. A theory that comes from an authority, such as an individual monarch or religious leader or institution that cannot be questioned by force of punishment, is called a dogma. Throughout the course of human history, tyrants have always used a big lie in one form or another as a lever of social control, yet many brave philosophical thinkers have dared to question the unquestionable. René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." René Descartes wrote about skepticism, or the attitude that all truths ought to be questioned by individuals. Immanuel Kant also argued that reality is filtered through structures of human perception and understanding, which makes it more difficult for individuals to arrive at an objective understanding of reality than we might ordinarily suppose. Epistemology asks, what can we know? Are the things that we believe in sensible or not? Why or why not? What is truth? Logic, as a branch of philosophy, strictly deals with the processes of reasoning and argumentation. It is concerned with the analysis and evaluation of arguments, the principles and methods of correct reasoning, and the relationships between propositions and their logical consequences. In order to understand logic in philosophy, it is important to define some of its key terms and concepts. Firstly, an argument in logic is a set of statements, typically including at least one premise and a conclusion, which are presented as reasons for accepting the conclusion as true. A premise is a statement that provides evidence or grounds for accepting the conclusion, whereas a conclusion is a statement that follows from the premises. Secondly, logic distinguishes between deductive and inductive reasoning. Deductive arguments are those in which the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises, while inductive arguments are those in which the conclusion is only probable, based on the evidence provided in the premises. Rules of inference are the principles that govern how we move from premises to conclusions in logic. Finally, logic also includes the study of fallacies, which are errors in reasoning or argumentation that can mislead us in our thinking. If our premises are fallacious, our conclusions will be invalid. Examples of fallacies include ad hominem attacks, which attack the person making the argument rather than the argument itself, and circular reasoning, in which the conclusion is simply restated as a premise. More on fallacies and biases will be discussed in future videos. Logic in philosophy comes in two varieties: informal logic, which involves analyzing the ideas and statements of other people; informal logic, which is more purely mathematical, rather than philosophical. Advances in the field of modern computer science are owed to classical philosophical and mathematical thinkers including Lewis Carroll, Bertrand Russell, Charles Babbage and Alan Turing. Logic asks, what are the principles of reasoning? What can be deduced or inferred? What is a valid claim? Ethics. Ethics is the study of morality and moral values, including theories of right and wrong, good and evil, and justice and fairness. The philosophical study of moral systems and beliefs can be traced back to ancient Greece with the works of Plato, notably the Republic, and Aristotle's Ethics. Immanuel Kant emphasized the duty of all individuals to form a cohesive society in his treatise on moral philosophy. Jeremy Bentham was a proponent of the idea of utilitarianism as the basis for ethics in business and in law. Utilitarianism is the doctrine that actions are right if they serve the benefit of the majority of people. Ethics explores questions such as, what is moral behavior? What is the basis for a moral decision? How can we justify our thoughts and actions? Why should we or shouldn't we kill animals for food consumption? What are rights? Aesthetics. Aesthetic as an adjective means pleasing to the senses, and when used as a noun, it can refer to the set of attributes that belong to a certain genre or style of art. As a branch of philosophy, it deals with the problem of how beauty ought to be judged. Some would say that beauty is experienced subjectively, or that beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Others, however, would argue that there are, indeed, standards of beauty that are universally present across time and culture, found even in mathematics and the natural world. The universal and objective criteria of beauty, according to this school of thought, include elements such as symmetry, proportion, balance and harmony. Friedrich Nietzsche believed in the political power of art. He argued that art had the power to move individuals to aspire to greatness, or conversely, to accept servitude and embrace it as a virtue. The influence of art on culture, according to Nietzsche, couldn't be overstated. He relentlessly criticized traditional conventions. He was, unfortunately, afflicted with psychosis in his later years and was unable to complete his philosophical writings. After his death, his ideas were misappropriated in ways that caused a great deal of political violence and tragedy in the 20th century. Aesthetics asks, what is the nature of beauty? By what standards should we judge a work of art? What role does art perform in society? How does ethnicity and culture shape one's aesthetic values? Political philosophy. Political philosophy is a branch of philosophy that explores practical and theoretical questions about government, politics, power, justice, freedom, rights, and democracy. It aims to critically analyze the concepts, values, and principles that underlie the various forms of political systems, institutions, and policies. Political philosophers often examine historical and contemporary issues such as the legitimacy of state power, the relationship between citizens and the state, the distribution of resources and opportunities, the authority and accountability of leaders, and the role of law, morality, and ethics in political decision-making. Some of the most prominent political philosophers in history include Plato, Aristotle, Niccolo Machiavelli, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, John Stuart Mill and Karl Marx, to name a few. Political philosophy asks, what is the nature of the state or government? What is the ideal form of government or political system? What is legitimate political power? How should political power be distributed and exercised? What are the rights and responsibilities of citizens in a political community? What are the principles of justice and how should they be used to guide policy decision-making? How can conflicts, such as social inequality, racial tension, or international conflict, be resolved or prevented within a political community? Thanks for watching. This concludes part 1 of this series. Look forward to more in the future. If you enjoyed this topic, you may also like to watch some of my previous lessons on history, philosophy, science and art. Notably, Natural Philosophers, Eastern Philosophers, Introduction to Literature Parts 1-3, and Art History Parts 1-3. Please remember to follow this channel for regularly posted content. Leave me a question or comment or just hit the like button to support my efforts. 2. Gain exclusive VIP access to downloadable exercises or to arrange a personal consultation, write to me. Or, go to www.practicalenglishwithdarcy.blogspot.com for more.